Before Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic was released on the Xbox in the summer of 2003, many fans weren't sure what to make of the project. The up-and-coming developer BioWare had proven that they could produce quality games with the Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights series, but to the console market they were still almost completely unknown. Not only that, but they were working on a licensed game, which usually meant a quick development cycle with a sloppy, soulless final product. But BioWare was determined. They turned down a chance to set the game around the time of the Star Wars prequel trilogy because they knew that the further from the events of the films they got, the more creative freedom they would have. They decided that the game would take place even earlier than the prequels and would follow the Ancient Republic, 4,000 years before the rise of the Galactic Empire. The gamble paid off. Not only did their game go on to become one of the best-selling RPGs on the original Xbox, it established BioWare as an RPG powerhouse, who would soon go on to create new universes to call their own. For many fans, the Knights of the Old Republic was the best Star Wars story told in the 2000s. But like every story, it looked to what came before it for inspiration. Tabletop RPGs, old Star Wars comics, and yes, the original trilogy are all echoed throughout the game. The most important piece of inspiration that BioWare used during development actually formed the basis of the entire game. That inspiration was Wizards of the Coast's Star Wars role-playing game. Released in 2000, this tabletop RPG developed by the creators of Dungeons & Dragons contained everything that BioWare was looking to do in their video game in tabletop form. Using the D20 system, named after the 20-sided die that was central to D&D's core mechanic, everything from the class system to the leveling system and the turn-based combat was used in the game. One thing you might not know is that the character voiced by future Commander Shepard Jennifer Hale, Bastila Shan, was originally going to be a completely different Jedi, Vima Sunrider. Vima was a character introduced in Dark Horse Comics series Tales of the Jedi Redemption. Concept art for the game's version of Vima has even surfaced, but vague legal problems using the name Sunrider spring up, leading BioWare to ditch the character and create their own. Many fans believe that the legal problems came from, oddly enough, the Jeep Corporation, who manufacture a very different Sunrider. Whatever the case, Bastila Shan soon became a beloved character in her own right and is now considered one of the best female characters in the entire Star Wars universe. Because Jennifer Hale. When entering the dueling rings of Taurus, Gorse Bendak goes by a very different alias, Bendak Starkiller. As many hardcore Star Wars fans will tell you, this is no accident. Starkiller was actually the original name of the New Hope himself, Luke Skywalker, in earlier drafts of the script. It was only after George Lucas decided that Starkiller was probably a bit too violent of a name for his idealistic young Jedi hero that it was changed. Many gamers will probably recognize it from a different source though. Starkiller was used years later as the name of the main character in Star Wars The Force Unleashed. Also, many of the characters you meet throughout your travels in the game appear to be ancestors of other Star Wars characters. Cassus Fett, for example, is pretty clearly supposed to be an ancestor of Jango and Boba Fett. Some are a little bit more obscure though, like Comad Fortuna, who is likely a relative to Bib Fortuna, a character you may vaguely remember as Jabba the Hutt's servant in Return of the Jedi. Or how about Galactic Republic Admiral Thorn Dodonna, who is a probable ancestor to Rebel General Jan Dodonna. I guess in the Star Wars universe, a family just kind of picks a career path and sticks to it. Must be one of those old-timey master-apprentice relationships. My father was a blacksmith, you will be a blacksmith also. It's very easy to complain about the Star Wars prequels. It's basically the internet's favorite pastime at this point, so I won't waste any time doing that here. But I think most will agree that BioWare's Knights of the Old Republic showed that there are still great Star Wars stories to tell on screen. By drawing upon older sources of Star Wars fandom, from comics to games, BioWare managed to carve out an entire corner of the legendary Star Wars universe that is reverent to the source material while also being completely unique on its own. The BioWare team might have gone on to develop a great sci-fi creation of their own, but their contributions to the Star Wars mythos will not be forgotten anytime soon. You thought you knew Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, but hopefully you learned a thing or two more. Do you know any other references we didn't cover here? Share them in the comment section below, and we might get to it in a future episode. If you liked this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. You thought we were just gonna do Fallout and Elder Scrolls forever, didn't you? Well, so did I. As you can hear here, I totally messed up the outro. You thought you knew Fallout. Nah. It's not a Fallout episode.